Today's video is going to be a little bit different than my normal videos. We either do restorations or customizations. Now, we'll call this a customization to a degree, but it's more of a fun modification. We're not going to do any painting or anything like that today, but we're going to take a look at these little cars and see what we can do to incorporate these into a Hot Wheel. These are little pullback cars. And you can buy a bag of 30, yes, 30, 30, for $5.99 shipped on Amazon. And I will post a link below the video in the description. Now the first thing we need to do is disassemble one of these. The bodies are really cheap plastic and they pop right off. There's a clip right here and in the back. So just squeeze it and pop it off. See, it's really flexible, really flimsy. Then we are left with, of course, the base, the front wheels, which they're all the same, these basic green wheels, and of course our rear wheel, which includes our motor or our pullback mechanism. This also comes off very easily. See, there is a ledge or a little notch there. Pull it back and then pop it out. Now it's going to be a little tricky to incorporate this entire gizmo into a Hot Wheels vehicle. We're going to have to be selective on what kind of cars we choose. Obviously, something like a Porsche, it's not going to fit in there. So vans, wagons, that kind of thing would be ideal. Now that is for this particular assembly. They may have smaller ones out there, but for $5.99, I didn't think I could go wrong. Plus, these are a lot of fun for kids. There's 30 of them, so one kid could have all 30. Two kids, just split them up. Or you have a party with 30 kids. You give each of them a car, and if they lose it or destroy it, you're only out $6 for the entire 30. Buy another 30. As mentioned, something like a wagon is going to be ideal. I'm not going to use this one. My grandson loves this car. Instead, I'll use this piece of shit that I finished a few years ago. By pure luck, the wheelbases are almost identical. That was not planned, just very lucky. If they were too long, I could simply cut them, and we're going to show you all that in a little bit, how we take these wheels off. And since I am using one I've already done some work on, I've already drilled and tapped, so half the work is already done. Now the first thing I'm going to do is take this car apart. Now if you're new to Hot Wheels restoration or customization, and you're not sure how to take the cars apart and do a wheel swap, I will post a link in the description below the video where I explain all of that. Actually, I think it's on this car, where I show you how to drill the posts, tap them, everything you need to know will be in that video. But for this video, we're skipping that. I'm just going to unscrew the button head screw so we can get an idea of how to fit this motor in here. One thing you will immediately notice is when you fit it in place, the wheels are not large enough to go past the base, so they're not touching the ground. So we need to remove a lot of this material, almost make it flat, in order to get these lower so the wheels do touch the ground. We're going to work on that now. I'm going to start with the sanding drum on the Dremel, and then we'll go from there. I also need to remove these little ledges. We're actually really close to where we need to be. And remove some material back here as well. I'm going to take a smaller wheel and try to refine it just a little bit. I think that is as good as I'm going to get it. I'm going to grind some of the bottom off here. Now if you have access to a 3D printer, or if you want to use some styrene, you can do a custom base and make these go lower into the base. Now this is something that's hopefully going to take about 20 minutes and we can get it done and just see if it works. That's the main goal here. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to want to line this up and about the middle of the wheel wells. We're going to have to epoxy it into place. Get it as center as you can. Now, you want to watch out. You do not want to get epoxy on the gears. Otherwise, everything you've just done is going to waste. Now, for this project, I'm going to be using Starbond Medium CA along with the Accelerator, just to speed things up. Now, this is a great product. It will probably hold forever. I'll also post some links below the video description for the Starbond product. Actually, it'll be on my Amazon page. We've got the glue on the motor. I'll go ahead and spray the Accelerator on the actual chassis. Yeah, it's a little crooked, but I stuck my fingers together. Now we need to remove these wheels, and the easiest way to do it is going to be to cut them off. Now I'm going to try to use these original wheels that I used for this custom. They're probably too big, but we will give it a shot. We're just going to use a little pin vise. Make these holes a little larger, actually a lot larger. Now before I finish, I can tell you this is going to look funky. It's not going to be very high off the ground. This is just for fun. But I think that should do it as far as the wheels. Let's see. We're going to have to get them way up in there. We can also cut these axles off just a little bit. Let's cut them a little bit shorter. And we can take our wheel that we've so graciously reamed out. Well, there we go. Now we'll have to glue that to the axle. And we'll use some of our Starbond again. And for the sake of this video, it's going to be not going to look the prettiest. I just want to see if it works. Like I said, it's not going to be pretty. It's got a lot of up and down movement in it. We'll take our other wheel, also give it the drilling that it needs to fit over those axles. This wheel is very crooked over here, the first one I did. The second one doesn't look too bad. Now our interior. Now I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I do need the front section of the interior to hold down the front axles. Actually, I really don't. I could just glue those in place also. Let's see if we can chop it off right behind the front seats and see if that will give us enough room. And look how pretty that is. Now we're going to see if this all goes together. We'll put the glass in. We'll put the chopped up front half. Yeah, I need to cut more of that off. So, we're going to have to glue the front axle into place, because I would basically have to cut front seats off for this particular setup. This would be more ideal for a van, which you may recognize this van. It got destroyed in postage, so I've had it for like 3 months or more. I need to get that back out to my buddy Wayne, but that would be the ideal project. I don't think he wants me to do that to his van though. So let's glue these front wheels in place. Just the axle, not the actual wheels themselves, because it wouldn't roll. Okay, the car is back together. I did not put the interior in, which you've already seen, because I would have had to have cut pretty much all the front seats out. This goes past the B pillar. And I also did not put the windows in. The windows, I just forgot to put them in when I assembled it. Now, I'm not going to call this a success, but I definitely don't call it a failure. Again, I think this would be better suited for a van just due to space. And also, my wheels are rubbing a little bit. I should have cut the inside tabs off and actually prevented them from rubbing against the outside of the body, or just use a smaller wheel. There's a little in there, you can see that silver. I should not be able to see any silver. It would have been a little better if I would have aligned it perfectly before basically gluing my fingers together. But it does work, so we'll pull it back. I'm not going to push it. Definitely rolls, just not that fast, and that's mainly because the wheels, when there's pressure applied down here, the wheels are rubbing against the body. I just didn't want to spend any more time on it. It's just a fun experiment. I know I can, there it decides to roll away. I know that I could use these in the future for maybe a van or a project where I can hide the motor, and maybe I could do it with this as well if I wanted to spend more time with the interior, maybe a custom interior, and maybe just using a styrene or 3D printed base. But like I said, it does work, just not the fastest thing in the world. Now if I give it a little nudge, it's fairly quick. So it definitely works. So successful, just not as fast as these little buggers. Of course, they don't weigh anything. They are super fast. Give you an example where it's hitting the body. I'll push the body in on that side. You can hear it stop it. If I don't have it pushed in, just free as a bird. So on this side, it's also rubbing. You can see where it's rubbing off part of the white wall. So if I would have spent a little bit more time on centering that up, you can see I've got a little space on this side to work with. I could have nudged it over a tiny bit, and that would have prevented that rubbing. I think it's pretty cool that it actually works, even though it doesn't work well. Now, I've actually had these for a couple of months, but I just hadn't gotten around to it, and it popped in my mind today, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to use this crappy custom that I did a while back that I don't care for, and I'm just going to have at it. And that's kind of what we did. It was a lot of fun to figure out. So the 15 minutes of tinkering that I've done here on camera, I'm never going to get that back, but I do know that on the next one I'll definitely use a van or a different casting where I've got more room and I can actually use the front seats. Maybe something a little bit longer. Who knows, maybe even a pickup truck. You could cut out the bed and have this in the bed. Maybe that would be kind of cool. I don't know. You could dress it up as an actual engine. That could be an idea. So for $5.99, in my opinion, it was definitely worth it. For 30 cars, now there are not 30 in here, but this is how it does come, shipped like this. My grandson's already played with these, so even if I don't make another custom out of a single one of these, he'll play with them, his friends can play with them, my granddaughter can play with them and beat the crap out of them, and it's basically the price of a Happy Meal. Again, I will have links. They'll be located in the description, which is below the video, to all these fine cars, as well as all the tools I use in this video, and even the Starbond. Also, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post those below. And as always, thanks for watching.